welcome to The News. I'm Harry.
And I'm Nikki. In today's story, a new crime wave is sweeping the country in the form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak. We help them find it. And lastly is the weather around the country. But first, a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more topsy and turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders in Germany have built an upside-down house, and before you think that they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction, as well as being a comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on its roof. It has steel beams in the attic. Inside the house there are beds screwed to the ceiling, upside-down wardrobes, an upside-down kitchen, and even an upturned bathroom, though it's not known if anyone has tried to have a bath in it or go to the toilet. Normally a house like this would take 3 weeks, but this one took over 4 months because workers kept getting confused by the strange angles of the walls. Many tourists visiting the house complain of feeling sick and dizzy after a few minutes of being inside. We cross over to our reporter Brea, who is outside the house. How are you feeling, Brea?
Thanks, Nikki and Harry. I'm here with the owners of the house, Hans and Helmut, and I'm feeling a bit topsy-turvy. So what made you decide to build this upside-down house?
Well, I had a dream that I was the only one with an upside-down house, and I just wanted to make it happen.
What comment do you feel the house makes about the state of the world?
I think that our house and the world are the same because there's so much hatred and crime going on that we think the world's going to turn upside down.
Thank you. What are some of the challenges of living in a house where the beds, bathroom and kitchen are kind of on the ceiling?
Well, it's really hard to get to sleep and it makes you really dizzy.
Don't get me started with the bathroom. The toilet and going and having a bath is so hard.
Would you rather have an upside-down house or a normal one?
An upside-down house.
Why?
Just to be unique.
If there was anything you can change in your upside-down house, what would it be?
The placing of the beds.
The bathroom.
Thank you, Hans and Helmut. Well, that's all from me. Now back to the studio with Harry and Nikki.
Thanks, Brea. Even watching that makes me feel dizzy. And now for a story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up to the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak which can hide objects by blending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled by using special tiny crystals that make objects disappear. So far, scientists have made small objects such as coins disappear, but hope that it won't be too long before they're hiding cars, planes, and even people. People have always dreamed of making themselves invisible, says one top scientist. The possibilities are endless, and we are all very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it disappears, the inventor of the cloak said. It appears that they are having trouble finding other objects too, like their lunch, which they think they may have left under the cloak. What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak. Here is our reporter on the spot, Liam, with more on the story.
Hello, I'm Liam, and with me is Dr. Doofenshmirtz, one of the scientists behind the invisibility cloak. Hi, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and thanks for coming. What made you want to invent the invisibility cloak?
Well, the thing that inspired me to make this dream come true was when I was a young, rather dashing kid. You see, I've always had the dream of making extraordinary things, like making my TV a popcorn maker, or even turning my cat into a dog. But those were way over the terms back then.
Cool. Can you show me how the invisibility cloak works?
Of course, why not? But there seems to be one tiny problem. It's that we haven't been able to find it yet. But I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Ah, here we are. And the best part about it, you don't need a big, fat and thick book about how an invisibility cloak works. It's just put it on and away you go.
Awesome. What do you hope the cloak will be used for?
I think the cloak can be used for whatever your heart desires, even if it is sneaky as giving someone a wedgie, or as useful as planting a bomb in a house.
What sort of stuff do you do with the invisibility cloak?
Well, I would do what anyone would do. I'd go to a shop and buy new lab coats, and even go to the women's toy. Ignore that part.
Well, that makes things very clear. Thanks for joining us. And we're out of time. Back to you, Nikki, in the studio.
And now, how's this for an interesting yarn?
A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters. These wall-waving criminals are covering tree branches and lampposts with small jerseys and scarves under the cover of darkness. Police say the knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolly crimes are being done on public property without permission. The popularity of the woolen graffiti is growing. More and more public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing. Police say and warn that if the Midnight Knitters aren't caught soon, every tree, lamppost and traffic light in the country will be warmly dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. They're a close-knit group of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We are stitching together a case, but it's not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crimes, and police spokesman said today, so far the criminal knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over the eyes of both the public and the police. We go now to a secret location with our investigative reporter, Peter, who has an exclusive interview with two of the Midnight Knitter gang.
Thanks, Harry. I'm Peter, and joining me in this top secret location are two members of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hello, McFaddy and Rochelle. What led you into the dark underworld of knitted graffiti?
Well, I used to work at my grandma's retirement home, knitting blankets, but I thought I'd quit and go to graffiti.
Okay. Do you see yourself as a criminal? Why or why not?
Yeah, I do, because it's still vandalism, isn't it?
Apart from trees, lampposts and traffic lights, what else would you like to graffiti with your woolens?
Oh, you know, shops, cars, that sort of stuff.
How long have you been part of the Midnight Knitters gang, and why did you join this gang?
For as long as I can remember. I joined the gang because I wanted to make the city look really cool.
Thanks for your time, McFaddy and Rochelle of the Midnight Knitters gang. Now we go over to Connor with an update.
Thank you, Peter, and good evening, New Zealand. Let's have a look at tomorrow's weather. Starting in the far north of Kaikoura, it'll be pretty flash and some flooding. Raindrops as big as your head. If you're going outside, please wear a hat. Moving down to Auckland, there will be a mix of fair conditions and unfair conditions. But those are the conditions. You'll have to accept them. There will be no weather change for Bay of Plenty. It's taking a short holiday, but it's expected to be back for the weekend. In Napier and Hastings, the weather will be sometimes changeable and sometimes not. We have really no idea what will happen there. In Taranaki, a mild depression brings with it a very dull day, with no highlights at all. It will be overcast and gloomy all morning, but things should cheer up in the evening, so don't worry. Everything will be fine in Wellington and have another capital day. There will be no wind at all, and the conditions will be so pleasant they'll actually be extreme. In the top of the South Island, Kaikoura, expect to have a good day, meeting friends for lunch, going for a swim and reading the newspaper, but try to stay indoors as the weather should turn terrible. A real mix for Christchurch will some unresponsible rainfall, some sensible wind, moderate thunderstorms and some very angry snow. In the lower North Island in Dunedin, be frosty until the late morning, when the sun will pop up for a visit. Everybody likes the sun. That's all for me. Remember, if it's raining outside, that's the weather for you. Good night, New Zealand. Now back to the news desk with Harry and Nikki.
Thanks, Connor. Well, that's all we have time for.
We hope you have enjoyed this evening's broadcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Harry. For the news.
Goodbye.
E hora.
Ladies and gentlemen. Roll the camera. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we feature an interview with a very peculiar-looking gentleman.
Scene 1, take 1. Scene 1, take 2. Take 2.